the young and the selfless, and these young officers. Today, being at my age, young is defined as anything 40 or under. 40 is the new 30. So, and we're down here in the CAT office, and a lot of these guys were up late last night. Unfortunately, we had a White Bear Lake officer that was shot during an attempted warrant arrest. Actually, Kyle Williams was on our SWAT team here. You've met Kyle before. And Tony Body over there. Tony Body was on the SWAT team as well. He's the newest member of the CAT team. We're going to get a chance to meet him in just a minute. But I guess the point of you got young people with young babies. Actually, all three of these new CAT guys. Thomas just had a new baby. How old's your baby now?
Oh, put me on the spot. Probably 8 weeks, roughly.
8 weeks?
Yeah,
what's the name of your child?
Bowden.
Bowden?
Yep.
Kill?
2 weeks. Stella.
Stella, they just had, and Kyle.
Rowan is 3 months.
3 months. All three of these CAT guys just had new babies here. And Tony has one too. Yeah, Tony, how old's yours?
2 months.
2 months. Oh my goodness, it's contagious down here. Huh? Fran had a new one. Fran's in our intel unit over here. Fran's one of the smartest guys we got. How old's yours?
4 weeks.
4 weeks. So it is definitely contagious. Anybody else want to admit?
No, but I'm out of here if it's that contagious. See you guys. Take care.
This is Jim Moody. Sit down there. Jim Moody's my assistant, and if you call up here in the office, you can have a pleasant conversation with him.
I don't know how pleasant, but yeah, we'll have a conversation.
It's all good. It's all good. We're going to introduce you to everybody in the room here in a minute. Of course, Mighty Mike Martin's back here as well. In case you haven't met Steve Linder, is our public information officer. Steve's a good-looking guy. But, tall, handsome. And of course, Patrick Scott here, the man behind the scenes, is always here. Patrick Scott's here too. But no, you think about it. I was thinking about when a carjacking occurs. These guys, Mike Servatka's back there, the sergeant of the day shift.
Thank you, sir.
And he coordinates this unruly team. And then Matt Marson is in our intel unit. There's a guy hiding behind. By the way, the treasure hunt started today. There's 4 clues out. And so, speaking of guys hiding back there, Jelly Joe.
Hello, backseaters.
Jelly Joe's back there. He's one of our intel brilliance as well. So, I don't know if I mentioned Nicole yet. I missed Nicole. And would everybody agree that one of the exceptional stars this last year has been Sanjay?
Absolutely.
Sanjay?
Oh, yeah.
Sanjay, an analyst. Does he come up with stuff on social media? It's amazing. It's just amazing. So, we're gonna go around. We're gonna talk a little bit about what happens here. But I would just want you to think of the theme that these guys drop everything. Last week we had a carjacking. I know, Mike, you called in people to come in. Everybody drops their stuff, and it doesn't matter if you're trying to put their little 2-month-old to bed. They are here. Well, mostly some of them just want to get out of the house. but it's just like that officer last night, 39 years old, and clearly barely avoided death. So, Kyle, you were there last night. Well, how Mike and I were up there at the command post, but you were down on the interior perimeter. How was the tension and the mood?
It was extremely stressful, extremely. When we first arrived, it was clear that this subject was very animated, very hostile. I was actually one of the first SWAT operators to arrive on scene, so I ended up acting as a member of Echo 1, or in other words, basically our primary entry or contact team. I was essentially set up right down the hallway from the target apartment, and when we were first setting up, it turned out the door was open, and we could very clearly hear our subject, and he was just constantly screaming, and the things he was screaming were very cautionary. He was making threats to shoot it out with the cops and kill every cop here, and on a couple occasions we actually heard a slide of a gun racking, and he was talking about how he's going to kill every cop, and he was ready to get into a shootout with us. He's also making statements to negotiators that he had a bulletproof vest on and an AK-47. Come to find out, we started doing some reconnaissance, and he actually had the door of his apartment propped open with a ballistic shield. So it was extremely stressful, intense, and we were all prepared for the worst outcome possible to come to that situation. But fortunately, the negotiators did what they do best. They got on the phone with him and they started talking to him, and it seemed like his mood at least it tempered a little bit, and they got him to calm down. They continued negotiating with him for quite a while, and once we got our resources set up further, we were able to execute what we trained and planned for about as good as we can possibly do, and luckily enough, we ended up with the best possible result, and that was him crawling out to the hallway.
Well, and he never voluntarily crawled out. When you think about it, the negotiators did an amazing job of sort of de-escalating his intensity.
Yep.
But he still was saying he was going to shoot and kill
Yes.
people on the way in. And Tony, I don't know if you want to talk about the gas that was put in there. I know that a couple robots were used, and you guys put some gas into his building.
My assignment was a little bit different. I was kind of late to the party.
Yeah.
So I was on the interior, but on the exterior of the apartment. So I didn't really see much. I was more of a
No, but you heard it on the air.
But heard a lot of stuff. What I will say is that when these kind of things happen, and this is my second time experiencing and being a part of this in the last year, I don't think that there's a profession in the country that supports one another when these kind of things happen. So coming into that interior and seeing the line of cars from Woodbury and Oakdale and State Patrol, it's something that you don't want to experience if you're the one that's hurt, but to see that kind of support, you would wish that that person could see how much support was there for them. So,
No, very, very valuable point. And Joe Miller, you've been doing some background on this. We won't mention his name, but he's got a lengthy mental health history, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what publicly I can state, but he has been civilly committed a number of times in the past.
This is part of the problem we have with the system, is that there aren't beds for people to be civilly committed to, so they keep sending them back home. And frankly, it's something John Choi and I have been talking about. We talked this morning. Clearly, he shouldn't have been out in the public.
I think he was under civil commitment. I don't know if that means he was in some type of outpatient treatment or what, but he was, to my understanding from court records, under civil commitment at the time of this.
Yeah, no beds really available.
Yeah.
Well, let's move over here. Your host today on the street is going to be Thomas Siegelstrom. Thomas, you've ridden with him before. You taking Kyle with you?
Yep,
That's
Kyle's
right.
coming.
Yeah, you going to let him drive it all? No.
We're taking my car.
You're taking your
I'm a
car.
little tired after last night anyway, so I'll let him drive, and I'll just take it easy.
He gets to answer the questions. That keep
Joe
taking
Kill's actually not here for a while. You're on family leave, right? Taking care of your child. But, and Joe got a special haircut for the picture we posted today.
Sure did.
Thomas, what do you talk a little bit about the cat team?
So we started back September, right? Originally it was Kyle, myself, and Kill. We started on a grant. None of us knew what we would be doing. I think we all had a different interpretation of what this unit would be. Bob formed us up and placed us in with Intel, which was about the best outcome we could have guessed. Hit the ground running. So we do carjacking, auto theft. So in Ramsey County, if a stolen vehicle hits these borders, a carjacked vehicle, and if one happens here and leaves the county, we're going up after it. So that can array to a bunch of different solutions, adults, juveniles, but Intel does the brunt of what we're looking for. So they pretty much sift through what's the most active and violent, and we kind of focus on that and work down from there. But obviously, if something pops on the street, we're responding if a stolen vehicle is involved. So
Yeah, Fran kind of keeps track. Fran, the board behind Fran has a list of names. We turned it around. We're not going to show, but how many people you think this unit's arrested since it formed?
Oh, just arrested. 50 plus.
Maybe what?
We're
100?
200, close to 300. Yeah.
I would say arrested it's over 100.
It's the same
It's the same 50.
50 over and over.
Yeah. Now you guys have done amazing work. In fact, I know the state person from the Department of Commerce says this is the way it's supposed to be done. So, just amazing work. Kill, you've been off for a couple weeks, so it's nice to see you again. But Anything you want to say about your unit?
The best unit in the world. It's fun. We have a good time. We all get along great. We all know what we're going to do. We hit the streets, and we're generally always find stolens. When we're out there, we assist other agencies. Call us for help all the time. And we love helping other agencies as well.
Now, you were from White Bear Lake. You knew the officer that got shot, right?
Correct.
You want to say anything, just in general, about your teammates up there in White Bear? I know we recruited you away.
Yep, came from White Bear. A great group of people up there. I wish him, his family all well, and a speedy recovery.
Yeah, very good.
He's one of our negotiators.
Yeah, Mike was saying he is one of our negotiators too. So, and by the way, Mike and I had the pleasure of watching our negotiators work. It's some amazing work that they did last night, even just to de-escalate him, even if he doesn't come out. And of course, our SWAT team, Ryan O'Neill kind of headed up. So Mike Servatka, step up a little closer to the microphone there and tell us about, you've been here for how long, and what's your...
With the CAT team for 6 months, and 26 years ago, you hired me. Thank you for that.
Said my wife hired me.
Yeah,
a little while
we
ago.
had that discussion. Actually, his wife did hire me. Great group of guys. I've done a lot of things in my career. This is going to top it. Everybody here's a go-getter. Everybody's dedicated to the cause. I'll echo what Kill says. We do have fun, but it's serious fun, and we're out there doing good work.
Yeah, and speaking of the fun and the success, we have a different tactic down here, and we train people in. So, Nicole, can you tell them the secret to our success? Remember from the whiteboard?
Absolutely.
What's the number one?
The element of surprise.
The element of surprise. Everybody here has a unmarked car, and the bad guys, well, you can't use that term anymore, I guess, can you? The misguided. The misguided don't know that these guys are coming, and so quite often, their number one tool is blocking them in before they even know that they're there, and following people in unmarked cars, so we don't have to have the pursuits. That's key. Then talk about the other tools that you have. Joe, you got in your car, a couple of you guys got, what's it called?
Well, I did. My old car went to Kyle, which has Star Chase and an LPR, which is
So
huge.
you got to define what it is. License plate readers, so you know if
Yep.
you pass a stolen on the street.
Yep, it reads every plate that you pass by, and it'll alert you whether you can set it up differently if they've got warrants, stolen car, stolen plate. Then you can get a little heads up so you don't have to run everything by hand. It does it
Star
for you.
Chase.
Star Chase shoots out these pucks, or shoots out a dart that'll stick to the vehicle, and then we can have Intel jump on the computer and it'll track it live for us, as long as that has the connection.
Amazing tool. And you all got several sets of stop sticks, right?
Yes, sir.
Stop sticks are key for one of the most used tools in law enforcement nowadays. And what else we got? We got trackers, individual trackers.
Yep.
Drones.
Drones. Yeah, we had 3 drones last night. We had 3 drones up, and the view, I don't know if you guys had it on your camera, but the view of the porch where the guy was amazing. Leiden and Altieri, Altieri's around here somewhere. You could see right into the right into his window of his porch. Pretty amazing. So I was worried he was going to jump off there because he has run through that park
Many times.
many times, and you guys have chased him before.
We've got a canine now.
Yeah, I know, we got a canine. Tell us about your puppy.
Cross is my partner, and we've been partners for about 2.5 years. He's a 4-year-old Belgian Malinois and German Shepherd mix from Slovakia. So when I got him, he had never seen school buses. He had never seen snowflakes. He had never seen
Really?
anything. All that stuff was new to him. So it made obedience kind of difficult and hard to do, but he's a good dog, very active, a lot of energy, high prey, high drive. So excited to be here.
Yeah, we're really honored to have you. We can always use a canine out there. Joe Miller, Matt Marston's over there. Matt, you came
Yes, sir.
from Crystal Police Department.
Sure did.
You worked for our county attorney's office as an investigator for a period of time. You got a couple young kids too, huh?
Yes, I do.
What do you got?
I got Joey, who's 4, and Nick, who's 6, going to be 7 this year.
6.
Yep.
What do you got to say about this crew?
Great group of people. I love working with them.
Jelly Joe? Jelly Joe?
Yeah, this intel, we provide a lot of intel for the CAT team. I can't give away all our secrets, but I can tell you we're pretty up to, we know what our guys our individuals are doing.
I think everybody wants to see your desk, Joe. I think that's a requirement. Joe, you got a lot of stuff going on back
Well,
here.
it's a little bit messy. That's just kind of how my brain works, so I got stuff all over the place.
Your brain is brilliant. Your brain is brilliant, Joe.
Well, it depends on who you ask.
Who wrote that? The world is sweeter because of you over there. That's one of the Scheller kids.
Yeah, exactly. So this is John Scheller. He's a deputy here at Ramsey County. His daughter made these for a few of us, and I keep it at my desk.
Very good, very good, very good. All right, Nicole, you're going to be our closer here today. Everybody wants to hear from Nicole. Hey, by the way, are you available Saturday?
I'm available whenever you need me.
You and Pat and I are going to be in the Winter Carnival Torchlight Parade.
I've never been, so.
They're going to knight you, I think. Where'd Pat go?
Right behind you, sir.
Right, so Pat's already been knighted. He's the Count of Clear Right, right?
And what an honor that is.
What an honor. You don't get that honor automatically. So, Sanjay, anything you want to say about working with these guys? I mean, you come up with amazing stuff. Sanjay researches social media. I can't tell you how many tips we get from social media. Are your parents still over in Thailand?
Yeah. Yes.
This
time Malaysia. Yeah.
Malaysia. Do you think they are watching now? Did you tell them?
It's a 12, 14-hour difference, so that's great.
Maybe not. Maybe not. But anything about the unit you want to mention?
I have to say this is probably the best unit I have worked with. They're extremely smart, hardworking, and very disciplined in what they do. So I appreciate all the teamwork they do.
Thank you for that. Well, Nicole, what do you think being the only woman in the unit? You know, it's a lot of pressure, right?
It's great. It gives me a little push to want to be better with everything.
Stop
I like being in competition with the boys.
You like being in competition?
I do.
Yeah, well, you've always been a little bit athletically competitive, right?
I'm competitive in everything.
Tell us about your background. You played softball, competitive softball at Concordia?
Yep, I did. I played for, I only went to school for college for 3 years, so I only played 3 seasons. But
in high school, you were a 3-sport athlete too, right?
Yep, pretty active in sports there. That was always fun. Softball, basketball, and volleyball.
Okay. So who's your favorite?
Of the boys?
It's definitely
it's got to be Kill, just because we go back farther than all the other ones. I've known Joe for...
Give me the vest carrier.
Hey, Moody, come on up here for a minute. Here, this is my assistant, Jim Moody, that we talked about. And nobody is... No, there's not a nicer guy in the department. Everybody agree with that?
Yep.
Absolutely.
The nicest guy in the department?
That's him.
Nicest guy in the department. And, and actually... When I got elected, I was just struggling with who to have as my assistant. There was, very high bar.
Long list.
Angie Steenberg.
You got down to the 50th one finally.
Well, what did I tell you? What was my recruiting pitch?
Just be yourself.
Just be yourself.
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely.
And
that was it.
You did an awesome job.
Great at being myself. Yeah.
Right. What's your favorite pull tab place?
Gambling is a disease.
Yeah. So what do you have to say about these guys? I would say Moody probably knows the troops, and right across this wall here, on the other side of this wall, is our apprehension unit. We're not going over there today, but those are the guys that are out there searching for people with warrants. For instance, they would have probably worked this warrant case themselves if White Bear hadn't tried to. So, and by the way, our canine, I went out last night because you guys canceled on me, so I had to go out searching for stolens, and I was listening to this thing, so I finally responded, and they called for a canine right when things started going downhill, and the canine Thermer and Stratinger didn't get there before the shooting started, but they could tell things were deteriorating. Another 2 minutes, had they got there 2 minutes earlier, they would have been involved in the shooting of 2 of our troops. So it was a very narrow margin. But the point about this is Moody knows everybody on this department because he's such a nice guy. So what's your favorite memory of some of these guys in here?
Well, a lot of these guys are new. I mean, I
Yeah.
just got to know them. I'd almost be back to being a deputy. You said I would get sworn in here to be a deputy and come down to this unit maybe and work with.
Yeah.
That'd probably go over real well.
Yeah.
It would dissolve overnight. So, but no, they're all great guys. I'm pretty envious. They have a very good, tight bunch, and they seem to get along really well.
Yeah. Well,
And have fun.
You're always there for anybody that needs help. That's the thing about Moody. He's always there. So we're gonna Thomas. What? Yeah, go ahead.
Just to Sheriff, I'd like to give a shout out. I think it's important. Everybody in this room works very hard, but at home there's a significant other or a wife.
Yep.
So big shout out to all that support.
Thank you.
It's important, we know, for everybody to do their job here, and they work hard at home when we're here working hard.
Anybody else want to thank their wives? Because you can get in deep trouble.
Absolutely.
I'm good.
Yep, my wife's at home. Mine's at home with 3 boys, so her job's harder than mine. So my job doesn't stop when I leave here. So I go home and try to make sure I take care of the family. So we wouldn't be here without them. So.
Well, it's a very selfless group. That's the reason we came up with the name, the Young and the Selfless, because these guys are just giving, and they enjoy being here, but it does take a toll on their families. Mike, anything you want to say? Mike Martin's the undersheriff that kind of heads this up.
Yeah, we really appreciate the sacrifices that their families make so that they can be out here serving the community. And of course, my wife, shout out to her for putting up with my shenanigans for so many years.
You want to define that?
Shenanigans?
Yeah. Maybe on a later stream.
What's the statute of limitations on shenanigans? So.
Yeah. Well, I'm really proud of this group, I got to say. I mean, I'm proud of the whole department for everything they've accomplished. And our apprehension guys next door, you know, Tommy Maher. Oh, there he is. There's Tommy Maher from apprehension. I don't want to show you too much, Thomas. Sorry. I'm not saying which one it was. So, but they do a great job over there. So, Thomas, why don't you and Kyle go ahead and head out.
Okay.
The squad. We're going to talk about you until you get suited up. When you're in the squad, ready to go. So let's get Thomas and Kyle are going to be your hosts. Their car's out there. Michael's going out there too. And a couple hours worth, Tom. A couple hours worth, maybe till 4. We'll see how it goes. And then, in the meantime, anybody got any good oysters? What's
Big shout out to Help Dakota yesterday.
Oh yeah, talk about that deal. Who wants to talk about it? You can talk about the.
Dakota County investigating. They had 5 stolen plow trucks from a business in Hastings, I believe it was.
Yep.
They developed information. One was located in the city of St. Paul at an address we were familiar with. They reached out right away to the CAT team. We put guys in the field and surveillance on that address. A gentleman came out of the home, took him into custody in the stolen truck.
So was the truck that he was in one of the ones?
It was one of the 5, yeah.
It was, that's great work.
And that was Sunday. This was Tuesday morning. They'd already stripped the decals off the truck.
Oh, they had.
Trying to take some of the identifiers off of it. Great job working with Dakota. They really were feeding us good information, and we had information to feed them because of all the work our intel unit does. Subsequently, as we're searching this home, St. Paul locates another one, chases it, takes a gentleman into custody, and a third one was also located. With all 3 trucks were recovered within an hour on the east side of St. Paul. We still got 2 outstanding. The red Chevy trucks with plows. So if someone sees one out there, don't hesitate to call 911. We're still looking for 2. So again, great work by the CAT team, working with our co-workers here, and then working with Dakota and St. Paul.
Yeah, that was awesome work. And I just want to say, in general, our carjackings here in Ramsey, thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Carjackings in Ramsey County are way down compared to Hennepin County because of the work of the CAT team. Pretty amazing what you guys have done. So Tony, you'll be seeing Tony on sometime late this week or early next week. He'll be here full time. We got little shortages out in patrol, but then we're going to do a special Stevie, you're gonna do a little information on Tony's dog, Cross, and himself. You know, maybe do a little PR on Tony.
I think so. I don't see why not.
Yeah, that'd be good if you don't mind. If your dog's not shy, I know as a handler is, but. So, Joe Miller, come on around and sit in this chair here for a minute, because people don't like to see that. You know. So, Joe, you've been here kind of the longest, right? I mean, you and Fran.
Yeah, about 15 total years. Not all of it was sworn. Analyst for like 10 years. I worked in the jail as a CO on and off for like 3 to 4 years. Worked in the property room for a year as a CSO. Worked as a CSO out on patrol, like patrolling the water towers for 6 months, not very long. So yeah, about 15 years total at Ramsey County. The last 3 have been sworn. I work in the intel unit. Then before that, I was like an analyst. We kind of did intel, but it was more like real-time intel, real-time.
Joe, I'm looking. I'm reading the comments here as they pop up, and they all want to know if you're available.
Well, well, that depends.
You know, well, what you don't have at this point. You know, if they send you a request to get together, it's not like they're interfering in your current relationship, right? Because that's what you're saying.
Yeah, there's always open for discussion.
All right. So you know, where's your favorite place to vacation to?
Florida, definitely Florida.
Florida. All right. So if you live in Florida, Joe goes down there periodically, and obviously Fort Myers Beach. Joe and I have traveled to Fort Myers Beach a couple times. It's been destroyed. But also Orlando and the Tampa Clearwater Bay area. If you live down there, let Joe know.
Joe loves Disney, so
well,
you might find him
more of a Gulf Coast type of
Gulf
guy.
Coast kind of guy, which you deserve a little break down there. Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna see if Thomas and Kyle are ready here. I'm gonna check my phone, and if they are, we are gonna have Kyle switch to them. We're gonna get the smartest man. I gotta go up to a meeting here in a minute. Get a little jail meeting going on. Talk about our jail population. I'll be up in 10, Bill. Okay, thanks, bye. All right, a lot going on here today. Are they ready to go? Can we switch them while they're getting ready?
They're good to go.
They're good to go? All right, you go ahead. We are signing off, and CAT team, give them a little wave. Thomas, and Kyle Meestad's going to send you over to Thomas and Kyle. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, just keep them out the range. We'll start over there.
All right. Hey, Thomas Siegelstrom and
Kyle Williams.
We're with the CAT team. A lot of you got an introduction already. Gonna ask while we're riding around today. Last Friday, a lot of people are asking questions. Chad was first time riding, so it's tough for him to track it. But go ahead and throw any questions that you have. For the CAT team, department, whatever it is, we're gonna try to answer what we can. And the goal of today is to find some action. As it always is, but Friday nights is a little harder because I think Bob and Pat deter crime on Fridays pretty well.
Absolutely. I definitely feel that's true. Our Fridays used to be so busy, and then all of a sudden Bob and Pat started doing live on patrol, and then all of a sudden it turns into a ghost town. I mean, we've had a couple things flare up here and there, but definitely not the type of activity we're used to. So
no, so we try to go out at different times, but as Bob said, we're always available. We got a couple different shifts now, so our unit's growing. You know, not that we want stolen vehicles to be happening, but it's just the trend right now, so we need all hands on deck, and we're getting some pretty good bodies available. So
it's definitely fun to see this unit expand the way it is. Thomas, I, and Joe Kill were some of the original members back in September of 2020, and in the coming up to 2 years now, we've seen a lot of changes, a lot of growth, and it's really fun to watch because it doesn't seem like this trendy crime is going anywhere, unfortunately, and now we're starting to see our unit grow both internally, and we've actually had some other departments actually reach out to us, and they're willing to get involved with our cause too, so that's extremely cool to see.
Yeah. I'm going to check one thing. Let's see. Try to turn the radio up. Not much has been going on today. Obviously it's snowing. It tends to slow stuff down for the most part, but
yeah, in general, weather is actually quite an effective crime deterrent. I mean, it doesn't obviously eradicate all of crime by any means. Nothing really does, but it sure does seem to temper it a little bit. Nobody really wants to go out in single-digit weather and get cold. And that's the thing. How many times have we been out here when it's like 5 degrees out? We end up finding a occupied stolen. They crash or bail, and on numerous occasions we've had some of our suspects run out of their shoes actually, and so they're running through the alleyways and streets and yards barefoot. So
run that plate real quick.
Sure. Nothing's fresh on that though, is there?
I just want to see if it's still.
Yeah,
so I know one thing you guys were all asking about was that white Jeep that's still out there. We're still looking for it. I was gone that day, anniversary with my wife, so I wasn't up to date on everything. Me and Chad actually spotted that vehicle yesterday. I'm not going to give where because we're still actively looking for it. At the time, I didn't quite put 2 and 2 together, so it's another clue. Obviously, anytime they flee police, we want to find them. It's not stolen, but who St. Paul thinks it is a pretty bad dude, so it's always a good one out to look out for. So, got any questions?
No questions yet.
Okay. Well, I saw one Friday, Kyle. You know, we've been doing it a year and a half, you, me, and Kill. We obviously got new partners, awesome partners. Nicole Sparks joined us. They gave us Mike Cervaca as a sergeant, Suki as a sergeant, and now we're getting Tony Body and Chad Molnar. But over this last year and a half, what is the most memorable apprehension for you while you've been with the CAT team?
A lot come to mind. We had certainly the incident. We had a wanted suspect of ours. So when we first started the CAT unit, as we've mentioned before, we were kind of plucked right alongside the intel unit, and when we got up and running, they already had an entire docket full of basically the most active criminals in that Twin Cities had to offer, the kids that were stealing these cars on a habitual basis. And we just went to work and we started doing surveillance on these kids and started catching them in stolens, unfortunately, and started catching cases on them. And one of the kids in particular had an active warrant out for his arrest, so we started surveilling his known addresses, and sure enough, he ended up coming out of the address, and we approached to try and make an apprehension, and he ran into an alleyway, and I gave chase on foot, and he ended up actually running to a stolen vehicle that he had stashed a block away. And it's kind of hard to explain. It all happened so fast, but I was trying to make an apprehension, and he was able to get in the driver's seat, and as I was trying to yank him out, he ended up pulling away in the vehicle and dragging my partner and I all the way across an alleyway and almost crashing into a fence, and it definitely could have ended up badly. But of all of our crazy apprehensions, I gotta say that's definitely the first one that pops up to mind. How about you? You got one that sticks out?
Well, on that one, right? So that's probably most lessons learned for us as well. When we started doing this, you learned some things on apprehensions, and of it's because we probably did something that we could have done better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And luckily nothing serious happened, but I think we all took something from that, and we were thankful you guys weren't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember that. I have to say mine, we had a Jeep Wrangler stolen Metro State area, and we heard St. Paul come on the air saying they had a Jeep Wrangler fleeing from us, from them. And this individual led Paul into the campus of Metro. Paul reiterated they wanted this vehicle if found. Cat team along this road.
West side of Concord.
Yep, west side of Concord. It's pretty much bluffs. It's downhill. It's trees. We responded to the area and assisted, and I decided to go past the perimeter and just kind of search. They had the perimeter locked down pretty good. I was probably a good couple blocks, I'd say, south of the perimeter, and a dead end at the top of the bluff. Just kind of check and not expect.
We were going up some bluffs that were easily over 45 degrees. It was pretty crazy.
So I gave chase, and we get to the bottom of the hill, and I see suspect take a spill, and I decided to continue going, and I took a spill, got up, and chased him across Concord into a mobile home and apprehended him. And he said he had some medical issues, but the funniest thing about that is Rich Altieri, when we first started, he's a commander. He was the sergeant of intel. We got placed under him, and I remember him saying, all I remember is hearing radio traffic and seeing you run across Concord out of nowhere. So it wasn't a huge apprehension. That guy had a lot of warrants. He was a bad dude. We've done a bunch of carjacking, but it was probably one of the funnier moments because I ended up on my butt during this chase. So, but I ultimately got
that aren't exactly established out in law enforcement yet. So we're definitely, learning by, trial by fire. So
sounds like we're freezing.
Yeah, we must be getting some pretty bad connections here. Everyone's saying it's
They gave me a faulty phone.
Yeah, they must have.
They're testing us. So I'll try to get somewhere else. Wondering if we almost need to restart.
Yeah, and if we are legitimately streaming right now, we appreciate this. I'm definitely behind the scenes work by any means, but the little glimpses I've got definitely show of an operation this is to be streaming some over
Still choppy. Alright, coordinate with department smartest man. Yeah, we don't deal a lot of this. We just, it's a great thing working for Sheriff Fletcher. He's spontaneous, and he will just come in, and next thing we know, we're doing this.
Speaking of innovative, you know, he'll come up with an idea and run with it. That's sure.
For now,
I don't know. We'll just see how it goes.
so a little more into our, I guess we'll talk about, everyone's always asking, Kat, I do watch Bob's stream and on Fridays. It's carjacking and auto theft. It's, I'd say Bob's brainchild. He came up with that. It's his baby. It's a good acronym now. At first, I don't know. Nicknames come with cats, so.
Yeah.
So carjack, 2 day shift, but respond at given times. Different responsibilities within the unit. As said before, the original 3 were all a grant through Commerce. We're each given specific roles that we have to play within that grant. Mine's the county attorney's office for adult prosecution. I work closely with the adult prosecutor who does the charging on auto thefts in Ramsey County. If there's anything bigger, carjackings, robberies included, that usually might get bumped up to a different attorney on my end. But essentially my goal is to coordinate with other departments within the grant that have the auto theft grant and try to make the charging process as seamless as possible. We want to get them charged right away, and that can be a variety, gathering reports, tying up some loose ends, essentially whatever they need. That's my grant, but on top of that, it's coming out here looking for bad guys. Kyle?
Yeah, what I failed to mention last time I went live was that I run the juvenile outreach aspect of what we do. So when we are out here making contacts with these kids in stolen vehicles, what historically throughout the whole system, especially in law enforcement, what there's been a serious lack of is documentation on kids. Adults, as you know, will have driver's license and at least state issued IDs, and even if they don't, if anyone has a contact with law enforcement, they're given one. They're given a long number, it's referred to as. And it's just immensely far easier to keep a track of adults, especially when they've had previous contacts with law enforcement and going forward. So if we have another run-in with a known adult, then it's very easy to identify him and see his past history, but that's not the case with juveniles, or the youth, I should say. There's no official record-keeping system on them as far as IDs go or anything like that, so we actually have to kind of get old school with it. We'll actually take photos of these kids and we'll add them into our own records management system ourselves, and a lot of times that's what it comes down to in order to properly identify these kids. But anyway, so when we have contacts with the kids, I make sure to follow through and get good information on them and their parents and guardians. And what we do is we don't just arrest these kids and then wipe our hands of the situation and say, okay, on to the next one, we're done here. What I do is I continue to follow up very thoroughly with these kids and parents and guardians after their arrest, and we try and get them the help they need and plug them into social services. We've seen there's a major gap in between their apprehension and connection to social services and help and programs. So I kind of serve as a bridge for that gap, if you will. I work very closely. I'm actually kind of associated with the Ramsey County Attorney's Office. I work with a assistant county attorney, and we have put together a little, I guess, side team, if you will, of navigators who've grown up in the area as well, and they've definitely lived.
Northbound and southbound lane of 51, Minnesota Hotel Kilo Uniform 279. If you can have my call currently.
Yeah, they're definitely just able to connect with these kids on another level that unfortunately I'm not able to all the time. You know, just being a law enforcement officer in itself definitely acts as a barrier when it comes to connecting with these kids. So these navigators act as kind of a support system for that, and establishing relationships with these kids and these parents, and we really just kind of stay on top of them and work to get them the help they need, especially with particular programs and other stuff that they can do. So we're kind of throwing everything we've got at this issue to try and get these kids to stop doing. You know, it's not just stealing cars, it's the fact that they steal cars and drive so recklessly, and they constantly flee from the police, that they're just going to end up, you know, they're already ruining their futures by committing these felonies.
But a lot of these kids are really bright. A lot of them have, you know, come from difficult backgrounds, but, you know, we, even when arresting them, we'll have conversations with them, and there's a lot of bright, funny kids. Unfortunately, it's, you know, they're dealing with other stuff in life, and, you know, it's not an excuse, but hopefully when we intervene, we can try to do something. But ultimate goal is public safety, making sure that the behavior stops, whatever that means. Joe Kill, he's the third grant guy. Essentially, he does all the auto thefts for the contract cities in Ramsey County. When I say contract cities, those are all the departments or cities that Ramsey County patrols. So there's, what is there, 7 contract cities? I should know this.
Yes, there are.
Patrol.
Yes.
7. So any stolen happens up there, Joe Kill handles those. He does a really good job. When we first started, he was kind of taking the workload of a lot of the stuff we did. Now he's getting a little bit of break. He's on leave. So there's 7 or 8 of us now for the CAT team. The other guys are just, I'd say, utility guys. They don't have to have a specific role. I know they will gain one. Everyone's good at something. Everyone has a knack for something. You know, Nicole Sparks, she's a digger. I will say she's really good at just digging into stuff. A busybody, which we all are. But I do give her kudos since she's come over. She's been getting into stuff. Suki, I can't say much about him except he's just always there, and that's the trend. I worked under Suki in patrol, and you always kept an eye on where his squad was, because if you weren't, you were going to be out of it. So
it was uncanny. When I first started patrol, I was an overnighter, and it was unbelievable. It didn't matter which agency aired it out that they were behind something good, as we like to say, something substantial. But you know, a neighboring agency would air that they're behind something notable, and they would maybe lose the car, and me and my partners would look at each other and say, all right, give it 2 minutes, and sure enough, Suki's going to get behind it. And without fail, Suki would call out that he's behind the car and he's pursuing, and it's just uncanny. So he's going to be a great asset to add to the team as well.
What's that pending?
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a U-Haul that was never returned. So
Okay.
nothing fresh.
Nothing fresh, but it can always turn into something. Usually, a lot of those U-Hauls, we find a lot of stolen U-Hauls with stolen goods.
Yes.
Additional stuff.
It's very common that people fraudulently rent U-Hauls, or they'll steal U-Hauls and use them for further criminal activities.
See this candy bag here?
No.
It's our address.
Alleyway Road.
Yeah. am going to mute you guys real quick. Give me 1 second. All right, you're back with us. Sorry, folks. Just sometimes we just gotta communicate with our partners, and it's usually because we found something. Yeah. Here, hold that. And there's a newer Beamer in the alleyway. They're trying to get parked moving trash cans. No front plate.
Let's pull around and head either southbound or westbound. Or sorry, southbound or northbound on the west side of them.
That one has been there quite a few times when I've stopped by that address.
Copy. You ever snagged a plate?
No, because it's always backed in, but it's been there quite a bit.
Copy. We're just gonna keep eyes in the area till one of you guys get in. We're kind of stick out right now. Ooh, slick sliding. So we're on a hill. And we're trying to back up without sliding into the street.
You are clear right.
Oh, thanks, Pat Junior.
Yeah.
I like that. Doesn't sound as good coming from you, I'm sorry.
No, of course not.
Pat's got that voice.
You might want to check that white SUV going northbound too.
Was it the one out of the alley? You know?
No, it's going northbound.
Hotel X-ray Juliet 799 circle. Copy.
I just don't want to put eyes off this though. That's the problem.
I couldn't get anything.
No.
I'll check the hot sheet real quick.
Okay. Anyone know if we have a newer white caddy on the sheet?
SUV.
SUV?
Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head.
Copy. Well,
I got the one from yesterday. Let me just pull it up real quick.
we just gotta get in a better spot to keep eyes. That's the problem right now.
Can I just set up,
Nope. Looks like it's gonna be leaving. Brake lights are on. A couple kids ran out to it. I'll try to give you where it goes. Jeez, the snow's gonna make for interesting entertainment.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for it to be about 50 degrees warmer.
The white male in a black and gray camel.
Yeah, nothing on the hot sheet.
Okay.
Will do.
Sorry, not much talking going on. We're digging into something, so once we get a little more info, we'll kind of keep you guys updated. But it's not that we don't want to talk to you. We just would rather we'd rather show you what we do than talk your ears off.
you got to cut us a little slack. I mean, we're trying to compete with Sheriff Fletcher here. He's quite the conversing party.
Were you trying to make a word up there?
Yeah, I don't know what I was trying to say there. Making up words as we go, it's fine. But he's a talker, is what I'm trying to say, and it's hard to compete with him.
I think right now our brains are thinking faster than they can keep up with.
Let's see. I'll take a look at St. Paul's House real quick.
All right, it looks like it's backing out into the alleyway.
Do you have to sit and wait at Cave and Jackson in case it comes this way?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just pick some spots right now. I don't know what these kids are doing. I don't know if they're trying to make room in the driveway. Again, I don't know what I have. It's just a pretty fresh, clean car that I've never seen here. So.
Yeah, Cave and Jackson then. Remothering.
Nothing on St. Paul either.
I'm in York. I'll cut over to
Okay, looks like they parked it, went back inside. Pat, are you close?
yeah, you need the plate.
Yeah, if you just want to sneak through, get the plate, I mean, at least see what we got. If we got it, then we'll move on.
Yeah, 1 second here.
Here, conversationalist. I think that was the word I was looking for.
Thank you.
Thanks, Badge Cedars. So, the roads are really slick, so I'm going to try not to embarrass my driver. I'm a good driver. I think I'm a good driver, but in these conditions...
Anything can happen on this ice skating rink out here. For those of you that live in St. Paul and navigate these side streets on a daily basis, you definitely know.
So again, reason we dig into this stuff, we know areas where stolens are going to be people, persons of interest, and it's becoming more commonplace to run into unreported stolens. The amount of stolens out there is so huge that it could take 8 hours before one's reported because someone lost it at work. So you can't always just rely on running plates. You gotta. There's other ways we can figure stuff out, but that's why we kind of check into suspicious vehicles in certain areas. Especially when you see younger individuals driving brand new SUVs. Nothing.
It is clear to that address.
Okay. False alarm.
Perfect. It was worth a check. I've never seen it there before, so appreciate it. We're going to carry on. False alarm.
I'm gonna run home with the dogs real quick before I come back for 1600 roll call.
Copy that. Woof woof. All right, so we'll move on. Thought I had something. Had the makings to be.
Yeah, we're not really doing our job effectively if we're not putting an effort towards at least checking on these situations. And if we check them out and everything checks out, then on to the next one. No big deal.
Check the box. Oh, they did what I did. I think they might be stuck.
Yeah. I might,
rear wheel drive.
I might get out and help these guys and give them a push.
Kyle's the, well, he's not as big as Tony. You were the biggest. I'm sorry, you lost that title.
Yeah. I lost the biggest and strongest title. So I'll have to get back in the gym and work on that, but I do tend to get a lot of grief from the guys about how much time I spend in the gym, but
he spends more time in the gym than he does with us. You can find Kyle in two places: the gym. I won't disclose your other secret spot though. But
all right,
come on, just go see. I doubt that's a heavy van.
Ooh-wee, and
they already got a bunch of people.
I'll give it a try.
I think their best solution is probably going to be able to back that baby boy down the street. We'll give you a show of Kyle front and center. He can be shy sometimes, but he's too hopeful. So. I think the odds are stacked against these guys. Oh, they got it. Uh-oh. It's going to be slow moving. I like to be proven wrong. I want to see people stuck. But it had the makings of America's Funniest Home Videos. But we didn't get to see that today.
Well,
good job.
All that time I'm spending there must be paying off a little bit, huh?
7 dwarves. You guys did good. I was guessing against you, but rooting for you.
Appreciate that.
So, all right, we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we might get smacked. It's not my car, so.
Yeah. And even though it's not, it's still not a good situation when you get into, a little fender bender, so to speak.
We're gonna try to get past this.
Good tires, folks. That's what it's all about. Where the rubber meets the road, or ice in this state. It's all about the difference between ending up stuck or on the road or in the ditch.
A+ to you, though.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That was good.
I could use the vote of confidence,
Oh, you don't need. You're a confident guy.
I'm a little. I am my hardest critic. I'll tell you that much.
I think that's a lot of us, but no, good work. It's very commonplace in Minnesota to see that it's tough for cops to drive past people stuck. It can be a hazard. If they're just stuck in the middle of the road, some people drive really fast, might not see them. And you don't want someone's day to be ruined because they might be trying to get somewhere. Obviously, those guys look like they had some work to do. Paycheck to be made, and Kyle just helped them out there, so.
It is very perilous. Running code, as we call it, or running lights and sirens and trying to hurry to an urgent situation in these slick conditions. It's a bit of an awkward feeling when when you're running code and you're only going maybe 5 miles over the speed limit or the speed limit itself, passing by cars slowly. But it's so easy to come into a turn too hot, lose control, and bad things happen, and we just got to make sure that happens. We got to get to our target destination, in one piece. That's more important than, blowing doors off handles. As the late great Paul Walker said, smooth is fast.
Well, Iceman Kyle. It might be your nickname. That was thrown out there.
I like it. Talk to me, Goose. Val Kilmer.
I'm more of a Maverick.
Oh, absolutely. That was a great movie.
Kill can be Goose.
No,
he's not here, so we get to pick it. Well, he's got a cool last name.
Well, we can't give him the nickname of someone who dies. That's a bad omen. We can call him Rooster.
Rooster, yeah, and the new one, but he's already got a cool last name, so it's kind of like it defeats the purpose giving him a nickname. But I think all the backseaters will agree that your working out pays off. You were the last little bit to push him over the edge.
I didn't feel like I got a whole lot of help by those guys.
Oh, I think
yeah, there was a little bit. But.
So we were kind of talking about our unit earlier before we thought we had something, and that's kind of part of the job. But Sasuke, he's our he's there when you need him, and then he's gone in a flash.
Yeah, he's kind of a ghost, and then all of a sudden he just pops up and he's right there in the mix.
He's always working though. It's not that he's not working. He's always moving. Then we got Mike Cervaka, Papa Mike. He kind of is the he's kind of like the father figure of the unit, kind of keeping all of us guys in line. A lot of different personalities to deal with. Sometimes I think we stress him out sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, he knew what he was getting into, so I don't have any sympathy for him.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, we did tell him. But I think he enjoys it, but he does a really good job at managing all the people, all the personalities.
Hold it at Frank for an article search.
What do they got?
Frank Bush.
Mail ran from an address. Not much more information than that. I'm assuming this party's wanted.
Okay. St. Paul 3, East District, obviously must saw someone that they, of interest, ran from an address. They're going to set up and look for him. That's why we brought Tony down. One of your biggest assets when you have someone with warrants or someone, a violent felon fleeing, is a dog. Yeah. And that's pretty common with what we do in our unit, and I'm excited. I'm excited to have him.
And I will admit, when we get a subject fleeing from us in the urban neighborhoods here and stuff, it is quite challenging. There, we got nothing but alleyways, nothing but backyards and decks and porches, and both Thomas and I came from the contract cities where it's a little more spacious, and working canine tracks was definitely a different beast up there than it is down here. I can take that if you want. I don't know if you just want to focus on driving, but
well, you weren't helping me, so
sorry, I'm trying to do a couple things here at once.
If you could have him respond, please.
Yeah, so to go from working patrol up in the first tier neighborhoods up there to working down here in St. Paul is definitely a learning experience, and it's a challenge finding these offenders who flee on foot. But I'll also say it was definitely an interesting experience hopping into the mix here in St. Paul. I think it's fair to say that there were some mixed reactions when we started blending in with St. Paul here, just to kind of step on their toes a little bit, so to speak. But another thing I've been very happy to witness and experience is the smoothing out of that, if you will, between us and St. Paul. We've definitely I feel like, struck a groove here. After doing this for going on 2 years now, they're definitely more familiar with us, and I think our working relationship with them out on the street here is definitely improved, and it's very fun to see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's right. Anything new is you're gonna be a little suspicious. We really didn't know what we were going to be doing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of evolved, and on top of that, St. Paul does a great job at setting up perimeters. They're just phenomenal. In addition, I mean, it's just different areas. Our contract cities patrol up there. We're given a little more leeway by our department, as far as being able to go after violent offenders, suspects on patrol. So I do think being up there, because you develop some skills, whether it's pursuit driving, pit maneuvers, things of that nature, because we can kind of push the envelope to get people into custody, and our patrol does a really good job at it. Phenomenal.
Yeah, you'll notice a lot of people, this is common knowledge now, the smaller city departments have a very strict pursuit policy, and I definitely understand. It's understandable as to why. but I'm an adamant, firm believer that someone has to be able and willing to pursue. It sets a very dangerous precedent if these wanted parties and habitual offenders know that if all they do is accelerate away from us or try to evade arrest, that there's nothing we can do about it. Obviously, that sets a precedent to them that they can essentially come out here, victimize who they want, do whatever they want, and essentially get away with it, and there's no consequences for that. So it is a very dangerous thing to the public, absolutely, for us to pursue these offenders, but that's why we use our better discretion. We always use our best discretion. He's asking for intel. The totality of the circumstances obviously plays a major effect in whether we choose to pursue or not, and how far and in what circumstances. But if the circumstances align, trust me, we're willing and able to go out there and get them.
We got a structure we've developed at the guidance of our bosses. They ultimately deem what we can do and how we do it. I think we've come up with a pretty good response to what the crime is.
Yes.
You know, obviously, the more violent the crime, the higher the response we're going to have. But, you know, we do stolen vehicles. We try to do safer tactics short of pursuing on, you know, these stolen vehicles. But sometimes you're a dollar late, day short. So yeah, I'm messing that up.
Day late and a dollar short.
You can't throw those. Me and you are both mess them up. But what I was trying to say is, we pick and choose how we're going to respond, and you know, just because we do stolen vehicles, we sometimes have to let them go. We're working in an urban environment. These neighborhoods are busy, depending on the time of the day. We know that a lot of violent crime stems from stolens, but if all we're getting back is a stolen hit, we got to use judgment, and I think we all do a pretty good job of that.
Yeah. And the thing about these people is they always drive and act like they absolutely have nothing to lose. There's no regard for the public and their well-being, and you know, it could be 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We got school buses all over the place dropping off kids, and they're just tearing up the streets, and it's just, you know, it's unacceptable. You know, we'd like more to be done about it.
You ever been on that ride in Disney World, the Speedway? Where it's got the wheels on the side and you just bump into the sides. It's hard to steer, the old one.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this road feels like. Yeah. I feel like I can't steer and I'm just
grooves.
Stuck in a road.
Yeah, you're on a track, and definitely makes it hard to do anything. You know, I'll be driving down these roads, and I mean, whether it's reading a plate or typing it in, just like...
So it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Still pretty quiet. Doesn't mean nothing's going on. We just got to find it. Question down there. Something else.
I got a backseater from Sweden. Hi, Kent.
Oh,
welcome.
Sweden.
Far and wide. That is pretty impressive.
Sweden. My last name is Swedish, Segelström. I'm pretty sure from what I can gather from Dad's side, it was a made-up name. A lot of those Swedish names were Larson, or you know, it's always your father's name and then son if you're a male, or daughters. If I think at one point it was Larson, and then it got changed to that. One of my ancestors, and you had to change your last name to where you lived. And Segelsberga is a little hamlet town in Sweden. That's what it was changed to. So my history, you know, you always try to look up your last name, see if you got like a sweet history. Kind of dead ends for me.
I always wanted to do one of those
ancestry.
Yeah, ancestry tree things. long time. You know, you just kind of take your anyway.
What did I send him?
You take your ancestors' word for it, but do you ever really know? I mean, it's.
Mine was pretty. I did it. Mine was pretty accurate.
Okay.
I will say, you know, everyone's like, "Oh, your DNA is gonna be on file." Your DNA is probably gonna be on file at some point, any given time.
You know, I don't really
something.
plan on doing anything where the government's gonna need to track me down like
But I have an estranged first cousin that I've never really met. My mom's oldest sister was unfortunately put up for adoption. My grandparents weren't 18 yet when they had her, and they were from a very Catholic family. So up until I was like 18, I didn't know I had an aunt, and really don't know her son and daughters, and they popped up on my ancestry as first cousins. So that was pretty impressive. I didn't have any of those crazy secrets you hear about. Well, I thought we were gonna get there quick. Probably not.
No, there's no getting anywhere. But
yeah, I got you.
So my wife's family's lineage is, I'm sure, actually pretty interesting. Her father was actually a first generation, well, I guess second generation technically, immigrant from Germany.
Oh wow.
Yeah, her grandmother was actually in Germany during the war, and she recalls some pretty interesting stories about bombs dropping, and she was in school, and my wife's father was actually born in Germany. So that kind of history just
you gotta appreciate for what people went through before us, right?
Yeah, all that stuff really kind of geeks me out a little bit. I would love to go to Normandy and check out the memorial there. I hear nothing but amazing things.
John Boy Zebra 460.
4436 on screen, and look at the comments. So we have medics standby.
Disconnected. 460, right? Ooh. Yeah, my grandpa actually fought in the war. Comes back clear. Oh.
Oh yeah, it's those fun ones though.
We're
yeah.
Good.
Oh.
Okay, we got one coming right, but you're good. Sorry, yeah. My grandpa fought in World War II. He had, one of my biggest regrets was that he was my last surviving grandparent, and I was still only a teenager in my young 20s at the time, and I didn't put much critical thought into, you know, how interesting my previous generation's lives were, and I only started really digging into his life and asking him some good questions just before he died. Yep. And then he started telling me some good Yep. Tell me some good war stories. He fought in the occupation of Japan. He took a couple bullets, earned the Purple Heart. Oh, good.
Okay. Yeah. So you'll see we take a lot of side streets. We're working specific areas. You know, main drags can be good during the day. There's a lot of traffic. It's easy to miss stuff.
But as we mentioned, these people who are out here doing this on a daily basis, I don't like to call them smart, because if they were smart, they wouldn't be out doing this stuff as often as they are. But I will hand it to them that they can be clever. And they're clever enough to stay off of the main arteries, as we call them, and stick to side streets. So they like to think that we aren't out here on the side streets. We are. It's a lot of ground to cover, and we're working the entire city of St. Paul. That's a very vast, big space. So
we gotta make them think we're everywhere, right?
That's right.
Dealer plate.
Yeah.
Anything we skipped lunch.
I know.
Breezed right past
I'm
it.
very hungry. I will say that, but I don't know that the backseaters necessarily want to see us hit a drive-through.
No, no. I think we can survive.
I call it the investigator special. I try and
stay away from that.
Yeah, I try and be very good about what I eat. As I mentioned, I hit the gym quite often, and I am a member of the. Very lucky to be a member of the SWAT team, and they have very high standards on your physical fitness. And although my diet is never perfect, I try and keep it very lean and healthy for me. But how many times have we been out here and we're just on the street for
yellow?
We end up getting into this and that, and then before you know it, we're out on the street for 6+ hours straight, and my stomach is just growling. And what are you gonna do? And we're still out there working, so we gotta get the investigator special, I call it. I grab me a nice double cheeseburger. I'm a big French fry. If we're going to McDonald's, we have to do McDonald's, I'm a big French guy and sweet and sour sauce.
Ooh.
French fry and sweet and sour sauce. Yeah.
See, you just
they pair well.
But their French fries are perfect plain. I mean, that's the beauty of McDonald's.
They are great. If I have to eat if there are French fries that I have to eat plain, I'd say McDonald's is definitely up there on the list.
Or Five Guys. Five Guys fries.
It's always something off the value menu, though. You know, I just gotta.
So yesterday, Kyle, you were training. Hastings PD had 6 work trucks stolen from a company. Very distinguishable. All had advertising for this company. They've sent out information to our department. We retrieved it. And then yesterday we came in and were contacted. One of the vehicles was spotted by one of their employees in St. Paul on the east side, parking in a driveway. They were not in the area yet. Dakota County requested if we could come assist, try to just at least put eyes on the vehicle, make sure it didn't leave or disappear. They wanted that vehicle. Mike Stravatka kind of coordinated with them to respond in the area. We located it. It was unoccupied in this driveway. It was a known house to us. We're very familiar. Stayed in the area till they got there. As they were essentially getting in the area, kind of getting prepped for what they could do, an individual decided to reoccupy this truck. Probably thought he was going to leave. And we coordinated and were able to box it in the driveway. This house had a lot of individuals in it, a lot of individuals with some history known to us. We essentially held the house for Dakota to do their thing and check for what they needed. As we were doing that, 2 of the other stolen vehicles were spotted in St. Paul. St. Paul did a good job. One tried to flee and crashed. I believe they got their suspect into custody, and then another one was unoccupied. It's kind of the same thing. Stolens happen everywhere, but they tend to seem to come back to Ramsey County, or our individuals from Ramsey County go elsewhere. So it's definitely a hub. Obviously, at Minneapolis, everybody knows that, but it's just crazy how, St. Paul's not a huge city, for urban, but it seems everything ends up back here. So
yeah, you guys got to get in on some fun without me. I always have some FOMO when that happens. It tends to happen a lot. I'm tied up with. Oh, you guys got into that chase, that long chase way back when. What was it?
Was that at night?
Werner and.
When you got hit?
No. I was in juvenile. I was in my juvenile outreach meeting that night. Chased him all night long from Minneapolis.
That was the big carjacking one.
Yes.
That was, so that was the 2 St. Louis Park carjackers.
I'm blanking on their names. I am.
Kashawn Wortman and Andrea Nautica.
Yes.
I don't remember. Yeah, that was an interesting one. I wouldn't say we kept up with him. I was in a Jeep Grand Cherokee. He was in an Audi TT. That was more State Patrol camera coordinators. They kept him on camera throughout the metro, Yeah, it was like an hour-long ordeal. That was FOMO, fear of missing out. I think we all get it. We all get it, and that's why it's hard when an incident happens in our unit and you're off or doing something else, because you don't want to be gone when
something's going on. It's you know, as the boss mentioned, we certainly sacrifice a lot and we dedicate ourselves to this job a lot, but you know,
you don't want to be gone when something actually turns.
It's a very, I gotta say, guilty feeling when my team has something good going on, and you know, just the thought of something bad happening to one of them when I could have been there and prevented it. It's something that's very hard to cope with at times. Just because you know, especially when we started with such small numbers, it was really Joe Siegelstrom and myself kind of running this thing out here. It's just a 3-man unit, and
well, we
definitely had some support.
I
don't mean to, you know, shortchange anybody by any means, but we were the primary operatives out here, and you know, if just one of us is out, that leaves a couple of squads, and you know, if we don't have the numbers, a lot can go wrong. I mean, we do try and use our best discretion, and hopefully, you know, whoever's got eyes on the target at the time has the smarts to kind of cut bait if need be, but you know, that doesn't mean you get roped into something unexpectedly. And so many times, you know, you're working something, or heck, you're not even doing anything, and all of a sudden, at the drop of a hat, you're just in a very dynamic, chaotic situation. And that actually happened to me last Friday. I don't know that it was mentioned on any live on patrols or anything like that, but I mentioned we have been working closer with St. Paul PD, and East Side officer that we're working very close with. He's a great officer, very, very good at what he does, and he's a digger as well. He gave me a tip.
Here's one.
Yeah. East Side. Let's head to that.
Yeah. What was the other one?
629, we finished up with our article search, so the D squads on the perimeter can clear.
The recovery.
That's nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks like someone found their stolen. We're over on pretty much the West District of St. Paul. That one's on the east side. We'll float that way. We're talking a lot because there's not much radio traffic. Not much going on. We are digging, that's why we're driving, continuously checking different areas, but we will definitely float to this area. I just want to check one spot on the way.
Yeah, so as great as it is that, you know, at times some victims of motor vehicle theft are able to relocate their vehicles, I want to express that you exercise extreme caution with any of that. Yeah, if you spot it.
GAS 895 GAS.
Clear. Recognize that name.
I do too. It's got a busted out window though.
Is that right?
It is right.
I did not notice that. 6-2.
Well, we'll float back that way, see if I can reacquire it. Sometimes with those unreported stolens, just the presence of seeing you can get a reaction out of them. I don't know if I'll catch up to them in this weather, but it's tough because, you know, a lot of victims of these Kia Hyundais can't, you know, unfortunately sometimes don't have insurance, or they didn't elect to have the glass coverage, or just sometimes can't afford to have the window replaced. So see a lot of busted people driving with busted windows, and you know, they're their RO, and that's a big telltale sign for us that it's stolen. But we have seen some of these people try to make it look like they've tried to cover it up, like, oh, you know, it's my car, I'll cover it, but it's actually not their car. So it's always worth checking, but turning around in these streets, I'd have to imagine he's gone.
Yeah. if we don't, if we're not able to really turn on our suspect vehicles immediately, it's next to impossible to reacquire them. But
it's easier in nicer weather.
Yes, nicer weather, depends on the road, depends on traffic, obviously.
Just clear these side streets for me. Yeah. I know a lot of people watch and they're like, I can't believe that car got away. It's so easy. There's a lot of things going into it when you're making maneuvers. As you can see, we're up right now on Dale. It's a busy street. We want to catch stolens. We want to catch bad guys. But I can't, you can't be T-boning people at the expense of...
Yeah, absolutely. We have to exercise every bit of caution because, we actually do care about others. We could be held very liable for anything going wrong.
That we could.
And, it's far more difficult to stick with a person driving that recklessly than people realize. You lose sight of a vehicle even for a few moments, and and they could have already
Did St. Paul get dispatched that way?
Yes, in a few moments even of losing sight of a suspect vehicle, there's just endless amounts of turns that could have been made, and so it's extremely challenging. That one's clear.
It's easier when we have numbers.
Yes,
so.
yes.
Any bad guy watching, there's tons of us. We're everywhere. So
that's right.
Bob said we can't say bad guys anymore, right? Misguided? Is that what he
That's
said?
right, yes.
Okay. Stand corrected.
It's very hard to maintain political correctness these days.
So we're on the West District. Just working some areas. I'm going to say it again, it's slow. But I don't know if they'll pick anything up. I mean, even the call load throughout the county is pretty limited, right? From just looking at it. So.
Yeah, I mean, as low key as it is and uneventful for you viewers, it's a great thing to see that pending call list to be so minimal. It's a good thing for citizens that not a lot's going on out there.
And when it is like this, it's easiest for us to do recoveries. Stolens that are abandoned, parked when the weather, get down with freezing their hind end off. So, when it is like that, it's good because we're recovering people's vehicles, reuniting them with their vehicles. So there's always a plus, and yeah, no one's being victimized. So we'll check out this. Gotta be the most popular car brands anymore. I feel like they're a dime a dozen. Kias and Hyundais.
I never realized how many Kias and Hyundais are actually out there until this problem started popping up, and now everywhere I look,
they're the
very popular. They must be doing well as manufacturers because they are everywhere.
My wife and I, we've owned a few. They're affordable. They're the modern Saturn, right? So they have good warranties. They run well, and you can get a nice vehicle for inexpensive. But unfortunately, there is the caveat that your vehicle can get stolen.
Yeah, unless you got a brand newer model. I believe it's late model 2022s or newer have fixed that defect that makes them so easy to steal. I will say this: my wife and I, we love our cars. We've actually gone to the Minneapolis Auto Show a few times, and we've sat in everything from the higher end Audis and you name it. And the surprise standout from a little while ago was the Hyundai Palisade.
Yeah.
It's actually a very nice vehicle, I gotta say.
Did you catch that?
Yep.
One. Other one?
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, those are nice looking cars. I don't think they're immune to those issues though. I don't think we've ever caught one, have we? With that issue?
No, not a Palisade.
Oh.
At least not from the typical MO that these kids use by ripping up the dash and bypassing the ignition.
445 is open.
Okay.
Sometimes the job can be boring. It's a lot of digging, and sometimes you come up empty-handed.
Oh yeah.
4447, code 4.
But then all of a sudden it seems like you're just getting absolutely swarmed with activity. It's
when it rains,
when it rains, it pours.
Well, that was last Friday.
Yes.
We were responding to a vehicle being tracked, a fresh stolen up in, I'd say Vadnais, White Bear area. We were responding to that area, and then St. Paul and your ordeal kicked off. And
yeah, I was about to get into that just a while ago, and then we got distracted. We tend to do that, you know, see a bouncing, shiny thing and mind wanders. Yeah, I was mentioning that I was working... I was talking about how you can be doing nothing 1 minute and then the next minute you're just thrust into a chaotic situation. I was working closely with the East Side cop who was very good at digging and gave me a tip that there was a vehicle in a back alleyway.
This is intense.
There's a vehicle in a back alleyway with a license plate bent upward. And that's a common tactic for offenders to use to make it difficult or impossible for us to run the plate that's displayed on the rear.
John George Frank AAA.
So, as we cleared an initial shooting that took place, actually, I decided to follow up on his tip and investigate. Lo and behold, he was actually checking out on the same thing at the same time, and once he ran the plate on that vehicle, it came back to a freshly wanted vehicle that fled from Inver Grove PD, and it happened to be occupied at the time we were investigating. So both he and I made our approach, and we approached on foot. The party initially got out of the driver's seat, but upon realizing that the jig was up and we were about to make contact with him, he decided to hop back in that driver's seat and try to flee from us and evade arrest. He fled very aggressively. He almost clipped me with the front quarter panel of his vehicle and spun around. Fortunately, both of our squads were placed in a manner that prevented him from getting out of the alleyway either way. He floored it eastbound, turned around, tried to flee the other way, and struck the St. Paul squad. And I was able to, fortunately, get in behind him and conduct a VIT maneuver. We call it a vehicle interdiction technique. Basically, it's commonly known as boxing in or blocking in. And I was able to box him in and immobilize his vehicle. And he decided to get out, posture up, and more or less challenge me. And he essentially bull rushed me and tried to get through me to evade capture. And I had to go hands-on with him, and it was a very intense ordeal and pretty physical bout, but fortunately we were able to get him into custody without any major injuries taking place, and yeah, so that's just an example of me going about my business, and then the next minute I'm into a very stressful, urgent situation.
Well, I think that's law enforcement in general, right?
Yeah, you got to be ready. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people and a lot of cops can grow complacent, and that can be deadly out here. You know, especially depending on the department you work for and the city you work for, a lot of times it's very uneventful for extended periods of time, and like I said, a lot of cops will grow complacent, and yeah, we got nothing. But then before you know it, you're thrust into an urgent situation where your skills need to be on point. So I'm very grateful for working, you know, even as a suburban agency. When I was working patrol for Ramsey County, we stayed relatively busy, I would say, up there for a suburban agency, and to come on down here and work for St. Paul and also our SWAT team, there's definitely no room for complacency or anything like that. I definitely got to put a lot of work in on my own time to stay sharp with my skill set and make sure I'm not slipping, as they say.
Is that what the kids say now?
Oh yeah, they've been saying it for a
Catch
while.
you slipping?
I mean, it might even been around so long that it's out of style. There's a lot of lingo going on these days that I am not aware of.
And we're still relatively young.
We like to think so, anyway. Yeah. Sheriff is stressing that we're trying to promote the 40 and under element of our unit. We are definitely not 40. We can at least say that.
Yeah, no.
I'm getting close, though. I'm gonna be knocking on that door pretty quick here. I'm getting into my mid-30s. I'm still young at heart, I like to think. Well, I'm an old soul, but yeah.
Well, beautiful view of the cathedral, downtown St. Paul. We'll go meander through there and then maybe touch over on the west side, touch all avenues. We've essentially been right now through all, I'd say, areas.
Yeah, we started on the east side, made our way west through Frogtown, over to the West District.
We're just waiting for Sergeant Zavaka. I know you're listening. Find something.
Yeah.
Or anybody at this point.
Well, I'm hoping that most of our kids are in school right now, or they should be.
I mean, I remember high school. Easy to skip. Very easy to skip. North St. Paul High School had a lot of exits, that we should say, but I didn't skip often, but, you know, it was a lot easier. And I feel like, you know, I wasn't skipping to go, you know, steal cars. We were skipping to do stupid things, but I wouldn't say illegal things. Anything good?
Yeah, I'm scrolling.
823.
Jason's wondering, well, he asked, where are you from? If he's referring to us, I am from St. Paul. I was actually born here in downtown at United Hospital. I grew up in Little Canada, actually. A little town just about 5 miles north of St. Paul, and I love it here. Grew up for 23 years almost in Little Canada, and moved over to the Dayton's Bluff area of the east side and in St. Paul. Lived there through my 20s and had a great time. Love coming down to the lower town area, catching Saints games, and in the downtown area, I'm a big hockey fan. I remember back when the Wild first came to town back in 2000, my dad, I was fortunate enough to have season tickets with my dad, and so we caught a lot of games. We went to the All-Star game when it came here. In the city.
It's awesome. I'm from Robbinsdale, Minnesota. I was born at North Memorial. It's near West Broadway. And here, of Minneapolis. It borders right on Minneapolis. I lived there for, I'd say, 12 years. 12 or 13, I can't remember. Then relocated over to Ramsey County. Majority of my family is from St. Paul, Ramsey County. My two older brothers went to Harding High School. They grew up, you know, along Payne, hanging out at Wilder Rec Center. That was a big thing for them growing up. Moved out here, went to North St. Paul High School, and graduated there, and I've been here ever since. Met my wife from Ramsey County. She went to school with you, I think a little younger.
Mhm.
But, yeah, I mean, Ramsey County is a unique area, especially St. Paul. St. Paul is a small...
Absolutely.
It's a small
town,
world.
Small town city.
It is. It is. I run into people all the time who either know my uncles, know my brothers, went to school with my mom, you know, which my mom went to, I think she went to ALC, I don't know what it was called back then, so I'm always suspicious of the individual, but no, and all jokes aside, it's, you run into people all the time who, you know this person, know that person, and it's kind of funny to connect those dots, so.
Brandon's wondering about a funny stop we've had.
Funny stop.
You know, I get asked this question a lot, and it's very, you know, you'd think we'd come across a lot of funny situations more often, but it's, to say it's funny, it's usually some very dark humor, and unfortunately, it's they're at, you know, our suspect's expense, and
well, not in a bad way. Usually it's
yeah,
right.
It's we come across a lot of very sad situations, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of what we do is very serious, and I guess one funny call, I'm gonna regret this probably, but one of the funnier calls, I guess, at my expense, back when I was working patrol, our animal control officer went down for surgery and he was unable to work the field.
Oh, God.
Sure enough, a day after he goes down for surgery, we get an animal complaint. There was a muskrat stuck in a homeowner's chain link fence. And so, lo and behold, I'm the officer who has to respond to it. And I'm a bit of a softie for animals, you know. I didn't want to dispatch, we call it, the animal by any means. I wanted to try and rescue the little guy, right?
A muskrat.
Yes, yeah. Let life live, man. So here I am trying to be the little softie that I am and trying to free this little guy from the chain link fence, and I thought I was grabbing the fence with enough clearance. I swear I gave it like a good foot plus of room. Well, it wasn't enough room, and he was stuck, his hind haunches were stuck in the fence, so he was able to contort his body and arch around and come back through the fence with the front portion of his body, and he got a bite out of my hand. And now I'm like, great, we gotta go the rabies route. And initially I was still trying to free the guy, but I'm glad I didn't, because if that was the case, then I would actually have to get rabies shots. So unfortunately I did have to dispatch the little critter, and I had to do so in a manner to preserve, I should say, his brainstem, so that we could send that to the U of M, I believe it's the Raptor Center or something like that, so that they could test it for rabies. And so, yeah, I definitely caught a lot of grief about that particular call from all my supervisors and my coworkers, and we had a few pictures of muskrats posted around the patrol station, much to my chagrin. Fortunately, the little guy did not have rabies, so it was a few antibiotics to make sure I didn't get infected, and that was it. No rabies shots for me. But you got any funny calls at your expense, huh?
Do I? I don't know.
That you're willing to share?
I'm trying to think. Well, like you said, a lot of our stories are we might find funny, but that's because we're processing things, and you know, trying to find humor in kind of crappy situations.
It's hard. It's really hard to think of funny situations that are, you know, appropriate to be sharing.
Oh, well, so here's one, right? So, again, I grew up in the county. You're gonna run into friends you grew up with, people you know. It happens, and you know, I would like to think my friend group was pretty diverse, and we, you know, some took one path, some took the other, and one of the older officers, I'm not gonna give names, we responded to a call at one of the hotels, and a kid I grew up with was having a little too much fun with the lady friend. Hey. Indulged. Well, unfortunately, we had to take an enforcement action, and the senior officer made me do the duty of, unfortunately, having to book someone I know.
Mm-hmm.
But it was needed, and we had a good conversation, and I chuckle about it because my background, my family, it's not embarrassed to talk about it. I got family from all walks of life. I am not a legacy law enforcement officer. I had no family in law enforcement. Maybe on the opposite side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've worked in there. But I'm a hard
and us being both locals, you know, working in Ramsey County where we grew up, it's inevitable in one way, shape, or another to run into some people that we've known for a while, and yeah, I know you worked the jail for a while before you became deputized. And
okay, Metro Transit.
And I actually had a very brief stint in the jail as well. And I did see a couple people I knew, you know, growing up with in school, and that's really unfortunate, and it's hard to see, but I definitely, you know, I did not view them any differently whatsoever. I just, all I wanted to do was see the best for them. I wanted to see them get out of the unfortunate situation they're in and just lead successful, good futures. That's all.
Yeah. And it's tough to say, you know, whereas law enforcement, if we respond to something, you try to take yourself out of the situation if it's someone you know, conflict of interest. But in that situation, for me, I would have rather been the one doing it, because we had a good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to explain, like, you know, what landed him where he was, and, you know, talking to his brother, he's doing a lot better. It was just maybe a fun night that, you know, when alcohol's involved, you make silly decisions, and I'd say that we see a lot of that in law enforcement, whether it's drugs or alcohol, and then you meet the person sober, and they are a good person to talk to. They just made mistakes that night. So.
Common denominator of a lot of people's situations. It's incredible how much methamphetamine we see out there on the streets these days. If we're not working with our juveniles and our youth out there, God, I would say about 90% of the arrests that we make regarding stolen vehicles has methamphetamine involved in one shape or another.
One person asks, how hard are we on drunk drivers? Obviously, that's always going to be a huge thing. You know, from when I was in school, MAD, and all those things emphasize. It's one of the most dangerous things you could do is drive drunk, and you know, I'd say most officers were not giving passes on that, because if that drunk driver hits my family member, you know, I feel horrible as an officer trying to be lenient. I know, you know, I hear stories about, you know, our parents back in the day and how that was how that was handled, right? And you want to give people chances, but you can't with that, right? You can't just like send somebody home or take them home and then they have access to another vehicle and then you're responding to the, you know, another accident and now someone's hurt. I don't know if I could live with that, and most officers wouldn't. So, you know, not that we're trying to ruin people's lives, but that's a big decision that people make driving drunk, and there are consequences. And you know, if it's your first time, you are going to bounce back from it. You know, a lot of young people that we deal with, that we arrest with those circumstances, they think life is over. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, it's not.
it is very serious, no doubt about it, but it is not the end-all be-all to your life and future. I don't want to downplay the seriousness of it at all. Like, it's unacceptable. And what we have to do out here, what we're striving for, is to ultimately change behavior. Because if hypothetically someone were to be getting passes via law enforcement or anything like that, even though they're conducting this behavior, that's really going to embolden that behavior, and that is not the result that we're looking for. We want you to get to stop the behavior in the first place, whether you get away with it or not. So there does have to be some consequences to try and alter that behavior, and there definitely are some consequences that follow with a DWI. A lot of them are punitive. The level of your charge will depend on some factors. There's some aggravating factors that will enhance some charges.
Run this plate for me. Frank Boise Braids. I just wanna.
That just looked familiar. I feel like I ran that earlier.
Oh, I hope not.
No, yeah, it must have just been similar. Although all these plates tend to blend. I've got license plates just coming out of my ears at this point, trying to remember this Kia, that Honda, this Audi.
Well, it's always changing too, so it's that's why we're
constantly living.
Our intel unit does a good job of cycling, recycling stuff that's been recovered.
I make a habit of, I have what's called a notepad app on my computer, and I just make sure to jot down the active or anything like that, and it's a great reference point on my computer. And my squad, we're currently in Thomas's squad right now, and in my squad, I'm lucky enough to have a tool that's an automatic license plate reader. It's a great supplement to what we do out here, especially when there's heavy traffic and low visibility. That thing, it's impressive. Its ability to pick up license plates and run them for me. It's not perfect by any means. Obviously, conditions and stuff will factor into its ability to run plates, but and nothing ever really replaces a cop's intuition. You gotta really be able to see some characteristics in a situation and some factors that lead you to believe that some crime may be afoot, so to speak, and no piece of equipment's going to be able to do that like an officer's mind. So it's a great supplement to what we do, though.
Absolutely. Remember that so like for the Jeep. Pull it up and what's the ad?
Commander.
Yeah. I'm just curious.
$44.86, $44.47.
So we're getting into the time school gets out. We tend to see an uptick. Spotted stolens. You know, we obviously know it's a lot of younger people, and that is around the time you'll start to see them flying around, getting dangerous condition calls. I think we'll reiterate every time. If you see something, call it in. It's one of our biggest tools.
Yes.
Getting those calls, especially if you have a stolen vehicle flying around. By the time, you know, we respond to an area, it's usually gone. But if we get a few sightings, we can start to piece together some clues.
I stressed this very much in my last stream. I'll stress it again. If you see some erratic driving, go right real quick, and then take another right. If you see some erratic driving, where people are just blowing doors off handles, driving around traffic, going on the shoulder, please, please, please call it in. Don't think to yourself, oh, the cops got better stuff to do. And those are just extremely valuable breadcrumbs, I like to call them, for us to follow. And
are you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually a very common trait of these offenders to drive it like they stole it, as they like to say. And so yeah, please feel free to call in and.
Looks like someone asked if we get tased. I did. I don't think it's a necessity anymore.
I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna do some digging here.
I think in
Could you run the plate to the license plate reader?
in skills I did, and then when I got hired, I was tased. But I don't think it's a requirement anymore. I know some people will choose to. I don't know if they still, to be an instructor, you had to go to Taser Academy and essentially do this whole instructor course. I can't speak on that because I'm not a Taser instructor, but I'd rather be tased 5 times over being maced.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I'm very sensitive to mace. Everyone's different. I've seen people who can essentially eat mace as a side dish.
No, yeah, they'll use it as hot sauce on their wings.
Not me. I
definitely
you'll think my dog just died. It's that bad. So I'd much rather ride the lightning multiple times. So, but it's good for us to experience because then we know the effects it can have on on people.
Absolutely, it is important. It's not pleasant, but it's important. I mentioned the SWAT call out last night. We used gas and less lethal means to get that suspect to surrender peacefully, and despite the fact that we were using gas masks, I definitely had a bit of a leak there. They weren't 100. Mine wasn't 100% effective, and I was definitely getting some product inside my gas mask. And you learn through mandatory exposures when you're in SWAT school what the effects of that are. The effect, aside from your nasal and your eyes, any part that's wet on your body will start to become irritated. So we're sitting there in that hallway for hours on end with our heavy kits, and you work up quite a sweat. And so, boy, when we went in to take that suspect into custody and clear out his apartment, it was no, I just wanted to express that I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy. I'm kind of a bandwagoner because I love the Mandalorian. That is one of my favorite shows without a doubt.
We're gonna cut you. You're not. It's like talking Game of Thrones and everyone,
Right, I'm admitting to it. I'm owning up to it. All right, I'm a
very. I can appreciate that.
Wagoner.
Grade how they decide it, but spread to patrol are everything I do. Again, those goals.
Yep. Behavior. Like we said, a lot of these offenders will use these stolen vehicles as a means to commit further crime. We get a lot of burglaries, a lot of other theft from autos where the suspect vehicle is indeed stolen. So we'll keep an eye out for suspicious activity.
We're gonna move on from this. These roads are.
Yeah. Although the side streets are where you dig up a lot of your good stuff, so to speak, they're just
Someone said you not being a Star Wars fan caused our stream to break up.
No, hey, I'm not saying I'm just not as heavily into it to really, promote the fact that I'm a Star Wars fan.
My kids are into it. They're at the age they're very big into light. It might just be the lightsabers. I don't know. And all kids love Baby Yoda right now.
Oh, so. Grogu.
Yeah. So it looks like we're breaking up again. We're gonna venture back north.
My wife and her family, and now our family, are members of Disney Vacation Club. So we go down to Disney World quite often, more often than most. That's for sure. My oldest is 2 years old, so I'm sure he's starting to get into that realm of finding that stuff cool. He's huge into Buzz Lightyear, and I love it. It's awesome. He just lights up at Buzz, and so we watch Lightyear all the time and all the Toy Stories. And
why aren't our kids? I keep saying 2-year-old. He's 3 now. We went to Disney last February, the first time. You gave me some tips. You guys are the experts on it. He loves Buzz Lightyear.
Oh man!
And it's kind of unfortunate because we only have a couple Buzz outfits.
Oh,
and I fight
like a little kitchen of gym. About 75% of his, well, I'll give it 60% of his wardrobe is Buzz Lightyear / Toy Story, and the other portion is Paw Patrol. He's a hardcore Paw Patrol fanatic.
I cannot believe. So we have 3 pending calls. In the whole county.
It never fails. We tend to get snake bit when
you guys are around. You guys
when we got backseaters, or when we got ride-alongs, or court reporters, or anything like that, or
look up that guy.
Members of the media.
They're good deterrents. I mean,
like it's uncanny. Yep, I got him. There he is.
Just don't air it, but just let me see it.
You want me to plug it in?
Yeah.
Please, wait for ambulance there.
So again, we're digging for you. We're digging for some stuff that we know that's out there.
Unfortunately, we're at the mercy and the whim of the criminal happenings out there, and if it's simply quieted, right there. And yeah, I mean, trust me.
We'll let it go. That's gonna be a difficult one to get through.
Nah, no rush by any means. Yeah, not that we don't want to dig up some good stuff to work. You're with one of the most go-getting unit there is. We love to get out there and do what we got to do, but it's not like we can just snap our fingers and say, "Hey, there's a criminal doing criminal activities." You gotta work hard sometimes.
We could do like a mock stolen. I go steal. We'll
like
get a Kia.
You've seen Super Troopers, right? At the beginning of Super Troopers, Mother of God.
We'll get like a Kia that we own, and we'll do a mock simulation. I don't know.
I don't think we'll get away with a full-on vehicle pursuit like they did in Super Troopers, but
no,
we could conjure up something.
I mean, I could run on foot.
I'll get you.
I don't know.
Although my legs are falling asleep a little bit, I gotta say over here.
There's much roomier than yours, though.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I remember when we brought on Sparky. She unfortunately had to ride in my passenger seat, and she said it was one of the most cramped, uncomfortable spots there she's ever ridden in. So,
and she's not
a
big
tiny,
stature, but her personality is. So,
yes.
I mean, she's very spunky and she's very straightforward go-getter.
So I guess going forward, when we do these live on patrol airings, for the sake of whoever's riding shotgun, I think we might not do my squad, and although it does have the license plate reader and the star chase, for the sake of my shotgun rider, I think we'll forego the chariot of mine.
Yeah. Domestic.
nothing. There's just.
We're eager to get Kill back. We were all on baby leave at different times. And unfortunately, the day I came back is the day he left.
Literally, we got Siegelstrom back and we lost Kill. So. But we are acquiring some new faces and some new names, and we're bolstering our numbers, and so that certainly helps.
We just gotta create that, I guess, bond with everybody. You know, the longer you work with a partner, you know, you kind of can guess their moves, and it makes it easier, especially our job on apprehensions, vitting a vehicle, taking action. You know, me and Kill have had several vits. We've done it's not a term, but I'd call it a rolling, you know, a rolling boxing, a rolling vit. And we were able to do it. Are they going to cross? We were able to do it pretty efficiently and, you know, weren't able to, we didn't balk at it. We said a few things and set it up.
Yeah.
You and I as well. I think my first vit was with you. I think that was the one guy we didn't get.
Oh, I remember that.
Off
He
at
was
Dale.
he was a quick little jackrabbit, though. There's nothing else we could have done. I mean, that was executed as expertly as we could have. But boy, did that little jackrabbit run, and he was over 2 fences by the time we even got to the first one. He was a shifty little dude.
One was a 10-foot privacy fence. We didn't attempt to jump that. So.
No.
But we had lost sight, I think, by then.
I ripped my jeans on that.
Yeah.
That was the last time I ever opted to wear my personal street clothes. This was when we first started, folks. We had no semblance of a uniform or anything. We just kind of hopped out there and started doing it.
Curbed it.
And I was wearing just one of my casual t-shirts that I'd grab off the shelf at home and some blue jeans, and I hopped a fence, and I definitely tore the crotch out of that thing. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go buy me some work clothes, and no more personal clothes for me. And
It took a while to get Kill
on board. I know.
Yeah.
He wore. Oh.
Well, we're not.
No, let's do it. Let's put up. No, I'm gonna put him on blast.
So Kill's he's the how do I put it?
Fashionista, so to speak.
But he's the senior member.
He's the senior member
of our unit.
I don't know if it's a midlife crisis thing going on.
Well, no. So we were in high school. You know, everyone remembers back in the day buckle jeans, right? The bedazzled. They got the whitewash, and then the Ed Hardy and Affliction. You know, that was like 2007, 2008 when I was in high school. USC was becoming the big thing. You know, GSP, George St. Pierre. He had all the, you know, that clothes, and I think that was just a style for him. So for the longest time, Joe Kill wore the fashionable jeans of the unit, you could say, and we had our fun with them. And I think we finally brought him to Costco, or he went himself after
got
lunch.
himself some. How do we put this? Some mature clothing.
You know, a man of his.
Yeah, I don't want to offend anybody out there who's still rocking buckle and Affliction, but
it's just not that it's bad, but when you're out chasing bad guys,
yeah, you gotta have some professionalism, and you gotta just look neat and proper, and so I don't know how much farther we want to go with this.
But he wears he wears running shoes. He is the fast guy in the unit. This guy. I would say he'd probably beat us in a foot race. I'd give it to him.
He is quick. I'd like to test that theory out.
I've seen you both run. And I've seen him catch one of our quickest kids. So
I've had some foot chases in my day, but no doubt about it, Joe's got some quick.
But he wears those running shoes.
Yeah, he wears Nike tennis shoes.
And he stubbed his feet a couple times.
In the midst of a Minnesota February winter, and I come prepared. I dress for the extremes. I dress as though I'm going to get on a canine track in the middle of the Arctic tundra. We got some good, the trail running shoes these days are phenomenal. I got some Solomons there, 10 out of 10 shoe for anybody who's out there doing outdoor activities and stuff. He's rocking Nike tennis shoes the entire time. I'm like, dude, your feet have to be soaking wet.
He's the typical Minnesotan, though, right?
Yeah.
You know,
oh, it's fine. Oh, he rocks a light sweatshirt at the most. Refuses to wear a hat. Refuses to wear sunglasses. The dude just...
He's the kid you'd go to school and he's at the bus stop wearing a sweatshirt and shorts.
And just fine. Yeah. Remember that oof, that was a heck of a VIT that we had. I believe it was, who had it first, State or Roseville, was airing out that there was a stolen, you're going westbound 36, southbound Rice. They turned westbound into the neighborhoods there just by off of McCarran.
Yeah, North McCarran they turned off of. That's our Metro Mobility fellow.
It was the same guy. Same guy. That's right. Yep, it was a guy who has just been through the system time and time again, and he actually had a history of stealing Metro Mobility buses and taking us on quite the pursuits. Anyway, we were monitoring the radio. We actually all mobilized from the LEC, and
Tango, would you like me to clear your last?
And we were able to get on the vehicle, and we did a covert follow for a little bit until we got into a good position, and Joe Kill and I conducted a VIT on the vehicle, and unfortunately he decided to ram Joe Kill's squad pretty severely, and that was it got a little bit messy, but and we ended up having to physically remove the driver from the vehicle, and we got into a physical altercation with him on the street. But it was last winter, it had to be right around this time, in the sloppy winter area of the winter, and there was just about half a foot of slush and water, and everyone was just sopping wet at the end of that one. And yeah, sure enough, Kill was in his Nike tennis shoes. Not complaining though.
Well, one thing you'll learn, every cop appreciates different equipment.
Yeah.
But depending on your acquired equipment, sometimes you might some jokes.
Oh yeah.
Maybe had. Everyone for some reason thinks I wear skinny jeans.
You do got a couple pairs that are what are they called?
They don't look like
they
don't look like parachute pants.
Not straight cut. Are they straight cut? Yeah, straight cut pants.
All my pants are normal cut. I couldn't fit in skinny jeans.
Joe's got a new nickname, Fancy Pants.
Oh.
Oh no, we're supplying our backseaters with some good ammunition and artillery to give us some grief.
But here's the thing, right? We're opening ourselves up because when someone else has this camera, it's gonna be at the expense of us.
Yes, we got to take our shots while we can get them, I guess.
Well, it's not shots. It's all love.
Oh, absolutely. It's not dumb if it works, right? If you're still if you're still doing what you got to do effectively, we'll give you some grief out of love, but it's, that's all it is. It's just...
It's good. We're all different personalities. It's, I can't say everybody is different in this unit. It is just how we were thrown together it just worked.
Yeah. We blend very well. We all bring different specific specialties to the unit, and it's been very cohesive, and it's been awesome. Yeah, slim cut. Thank you, Dawn.
Who said that?
Dawn. Like I just said.
Yeah, just make sure it's not my mother-in-law.
Oh.
Shout out to you, my mother-in-law Dawn. She's a huge backseater. She's gonna be mad that I said this, but she's been a backseater since day one. She loves watching it. So
as is my mother, Lori. If you're watching now, I bet you are. Shout out to you and Kendra.
I do not wear slim jeans.
No. Well,
I make them look slim.
You fill them out so great, I guess. I do like myself some boot cuts nowadays too. I actually I never thought I would do this, but I made the leap and I bought my first pair of Western or cowboy boots a while back.
You were watching Yellowstone.
I know, you watch a couple episodes of Yellowstone and you turn into a new man. What can I say? But I'm so obsessed with those things. I don't know if my wife is so happy about it, but I just love those boots to death. And they're just they're effective.
That was kind of a delayed walk.
I know.
Boots are good. We live in Minnesota, so.
Oh, a good winter boot.
Okay. Anything good?
A neighbor tying some balloons to a fence.
I mean, suspicious calls.
Yeah. Sorry, I've been monitoring the calls. Just caring about their day and minding their own business right now is good again. But unfortunately, it's a little uneventful for your back seaters. But don't worry, this is only day one of the Wednesday Cat Unit stream. If you with the Jeeps or whatever.
Yeah, we.
Yeah.
Chubby Wolf wasn't around to that Wilford check 1163. Wilford checking his friends who he hasn't heard from since early January. 1503.
Bad area. Cutting out again. Oh. Let's see. Makes you appreciate driving like down the freeways.
Oh. No.
Or squad, that'd be.
Yeah.
But it does happen. What's up? Yeah, it's.
But I actually found these brand of cowboy boots, Durango boots. If anyone's looking for a Western boot, I'd recommend checking them out. They've got a bunch of different styles of cowboy boots. They're far thicker than I expected, but it ended up being great for winter. And these things are very, very thick, heavily treaded soles that are great for the winter. So, there's that option as well.
You could do that.
All right, I should be getting paid.
Well, you are.
Well,
you are, my friend. You might have a career after law enforcement, maybe.
Well, I'm hoping to kick my feet up and live the good life after law.
White or silver?
Yeah. I didn't catch it. I love golf. I love fishing. I love just about anything that gets me outside. I love hunting. But I want being a dad to those little guys. We're buff. Yeah, there's not much. Yeah, that you gotta make some sacrifices with your hobbies and stuff, and we'll always come back around to them and have time once the kiddos get older, and I'm kind of hoping, you know, my son and daughter get into some of the things that I love, and we can do them together. That would be the best thing I could ever imagine, if I get out there and golf with my little guy, and you know, even my daughter, if she gets into it.
Your kids become your hobby.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, and a lot of people like balance, but most of us that I know are our dads doing this stuff, I'm not really in the mood to go run out and hang out with other people. I go hang out with my kids, my wife, you know, and my kids, my oldest is getting into playing hockey, and I used to play adult hockey once I graduated and kept active, but I'd much rather go watch him. It's awesome seeing him strive and start doing the things like you said that I love. I got him into golf and hockey, and he's now my buddy. So got him to his last wild game last year. We actually did 2. He absolutely loved it. But I think everyone would agree, you know, family first, job second, you know, but the call when something bad does happen, it's tough not to come out and respond. So
yeah.
You just got to balance it. It's a balancing act, and you have to gauge. For me, I gauge my wife, and you know, if there's times that, you know, it's not gonna work out, hey, I'm staying home. So.
Yeah, and you know, with our funky schedule, our, you know, with our need, with our need to be flexible, it makes the time that we do have home to be home with our families all the more special and valuable. And so, if and when we do eventually have some free time, it's got to be dedicated to the kids and family. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be doing much else.
This is absolutely glare ice right here. Is your oldest skating yet?
Not yet. We got him in a few other things as it is. It's just hard right now. We got so much stuff going on. We're getting him into some preschool activities. We got him in swimming, and we just got enough. Looking to build a house right now. So,
I built a rink. Not a huge rink. It's an intro rink for my kid. It's by 30.
That's alright. We can skate, especially when they're little, and they can rip some slappies. Yeah, that'll be a definite priority though. Especially next year, get them on skates, get them going.
Yeah. For Minnesotans, it's kind of a big thing, hockey.
Oh yeah.
4675 Long Lake Road, Unit 125, just progress. All I have is that there's a child trying to harm themselves.
impressive.
Copy. 5281 and 83. Looks like it's going to be a 13-year-old self-harming by scratching himself.
Looks like they'll let us in.
5281.
Yep.
I'm arriving. I can advise.
That. Hold on.
Kind of moving, weren't they? Good. Nice enough to let us through. No front plate.
No, neither.
Okay. We got 4 minutes with us. We're gonna wrap it.
You're on tech, right?
Yep. We're gonna mute you real quick. Oh my. Is it ever? Oh my. Oh, now we're.
It's gonna be with size, either the. Yeah.
That's an Optima. Clearing the crest, coming up.
Continuing southbound. Trust us, folks, we'd love nothing more than to get into what we primarily target out here with you guys on board. And we're trying to make it happen.
Coming up to our case, so update.
We don't have eyes right now.
Lost Eyes is definitely south of Lawson.
You clear right, I'll clear left.
Yep.
Pat, we last saw it going over the hill. So, seeing it, Southland turned off. God, that's a bummer. I mean, they weren't moving, so.
It was.
White just went south from Case.
Where?
On Earl.
We're
just right there.
Okay, I'm checking Forest.
And another thing to keep in mind, folks, is this. We love doing this live on patrol and streaming for you guys, but it also does create a hurdle because, truthfully, a lot of times the kids that are out doing this and the people that are out doing this are watching. And so when they have a front row seat as to where we are and what we're doing, that definitely gives them a leg up.
We accept the challenge.
Yep, we accept the challenge, though, and we can definitely overcome that obstacle and make stuff work.
So we lost it.
What I mentioned earlier, you know, lead on what we thought would be a good target, and it took us to get out into the street, and then traffic. It could have essentially gone anywhere. That quick and that easy to lose a suspect vehicle, and that's where it comes into play, and we just try and saturate the area and find them.
going south on Earl.
Not positive. We lost him up over the hill.
Not positive about any. Pressed up to the case. Well, kept continuing on southbound.
Based off their driving, though, doubtful. They weren't flying. They would have had to fly to get over the bridge down towards 7th. So, it's not impossible, but it's one of the worst feelings when you think you lost one. Granted, we don't even know if we had one, but it was a good, good candidate for
good lead. Well, yeah. Speaking of the horrible feeling of losing one, there's a couple multiple weeks where I kept spotting this Toyota and I believe State Patrol pursued it a little bit and conducted a pit maneuver on it, and we got some people in custody. So it's great that they got into custody, but I can't help but be a little bit jealous because I saw it a couple times and I wanted to be the one to get it, but either way.
Well, Nicole touched on it. It's a competitive nature, right?
Yeah.
How competition. You know, we want to catch the misguided, quote unquote, right?
Well, and we're very proactive cops who like to be involved. It's kind of hard, you know, a lot of times to a major critical incident, and the best thing for us to do is essentially take an outside role. You know, we don't always get to, something will pop off, and we don't always get to be the primary officer involved in the pursuit, the one chasing them down through the alleyways or anything like that. A lot of times we just got to take an outside role, work a perimeter position, just maybe parallel it's a little bit hard to but it's cause, and sometimes you just got to do that. It's still an important role, even, you know, be the one going hands-on or putting it's a team game.
Call you want to block it, that's right.
Copy. Yeah.
Tell them where we're at, if anyone's up that way.
We're a ways out. Earl and 4th right now, but we'll float that way. Let's check,
Alright, yeah, I'm checking. I'll show you.
Bates.
You can check that. Kind of delve into more what we do. We do the carjacking, auto theft. If you're watching and you're wondering, well, why aren't you doing traffic stops, or hey, that guy might have slow rolled a stop sign. With what we're doing and what we're looking for, it's tough to tie ourselves up on those types of things. Obviously, we're going to make stops if it's egregious, if it's a public safety issue, anything like that. But
severe, you know, serious warrants. But we really gotta. We have a higher threshold. What's in law contact in if we our assets out of the field. If we're booking someone and our teammates end up finding something, more serious that we're out looking for, then definitely is detrimental to what we're trying to do. So,
four-wheeler.
5283.
Jason, we work for the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office.
5283.
So,
283.
You're going to Panera
it's
Pie
Ramsey
Line,
County.
zone for smoke.
It's in Minnesota.
Fire control.
It's capital city for Minnesota. Resides in Ramsey County.
Yeah. So primarily, where you'll find us is in what are called the contract cities. That's Falcon Heights, Arden Hills, Shoreview, White Bear Township, Little Canada. That's where you're going to find our uniform patrols working patrol. We have specialty that anywhere within the county. We focus most of our efforts in St. Paul because that's where the auto theft pandemic is taking place. We've got the apprehension unit. They're tracking down offenders just about everywhere. We've got VSET, we've got civil, we got transports, you name it. We're kind of everywhere, but in many, many roles. Hello, Gary from Arizona. I'm jealous of your current weather. Cherish it on our behalf, please. If I was doing my winter, winter, but as a schedule, I haven't been able to get out and play hockey. I typically play hockey weekly. We actually had a law enforcement memorial tournament a few months back, and we were fortunate to have Ramsey County Sheriff in, and we played in the upper division, which was pretty actually. Stickers out and some got it. Weekly champion. Do like to get out there and play hockey and golf, but I love fishing, but I'm not truthfully the biggest ice fisherman. I'm kind of a purist with fishing. I like to get on a boat in the sun, cast a line, hit some docks, slay some bass.
So what came first?
What?
Ice fishing or summer fishing?
What do you mean what came first?
You said you're a purist. What if the ice fishermen out there think they're the purist?
Well,
out there, old school, digging the holes.
You gotta think.
All right, you gotta call the fish to the hole.
If you want to get back to the roots of fishing here, you gotta think back in the day, way back then.
I mean, I'm not that old.
They took a stick and strung a little string or whatever to it, right? And
they're
I'd
have to assume they were barehanding it long before a stick was invented.
Think about the tools you need to ice fish. You need a good auger. So you got to think. Open water fishing.
We just don't want to offend our ice fishermen.
Our ice drinkermen.
Yes, it's a sport in Minnesota. So we got a couple more minutes and we'll wrap up. Obviously, we had one, weren't able to reacquire it. Part of it, daytime traffic. It was just one of those things. At that time, we don't know what we had. We thought it was something to check in on, but not serious enough to go and push the limit as hard as we sometimes would.
Caroline wants us to come out to the UK and visit. Believe me, that is one of the top things on my bucket list.
Ireland,
Ooh. Germany. I want to check out London. I want to check out a football game, with some Brits. Oh, that would be
like
so
football
much
or football.
Yes, the
soccer.
Yeah, soccer, as we Americans know it as. But I would love to get out there and check out a football game. That'd be a lot of fun.
Have you been to one of the Loons games yet?
I have not. Or MN United. Oh, I actually, yeah, I've been to a couple Loons games way back when I was a little kid, and I actually served as one of the, I don't know what they're called. I'm not a huge soccer guy, but the ball retrievers, that stand on the sideline, and if a ball goes out of bounds, you have one ready for them, and so they can continue play. Yeah, up there in the Blaine Sports Complex.
Yep.
I've not made it to Allianz Field, though.
It's a cool stadium.
I hear awesome things. I hear it's a great time.
Oh, we're going to avoid that hill.
Yeah, that looks like a great opportunity to crack up a squad on Live on Patrol.
That'd be my funny moment.
Oh, man. It's going to be someone, folks, and I hope it's not me.
131.
We could start a friendly wager in the office.
Copy.
We got Teresa from Nolans checking in. Another place I would love to check out. Although I go to Florida all the time, I've been to Texas. I want to check out some more of the Gulf area down there. Get a nice crawfish broil. I hear it's a great culture down there. I'm a big traveler. My wife and I both are. A lot of people are going to think we're nuts, but we've done a lot of traveling even with the kids. I think Caden has been on roughly about 14 or 15 flights. He's already been. We actually got married down in Mexico. He's been to Mexico. He's been to Florida many times. Where else have we gone with him? I'm blanking on some other stuff, but we actually already went on a trip with Rowan, our little 3-month-old, down to Florida.
Well, what do you think?
Of?
Well, time to wrap it?
Yeah.
Well, it's almost 3:30. We appreciate you riding with us. Unfortunately, it was uneventful, but again, as I always say, that's good for the residents of St. Paul, Ramsey County. If we're not busy, that's better for public safety. So
it was a good first trip around the block with you guys. It was a good opportunity to get our feet wet and just kind of talk about our backgrounds and stuff. Rest assured, backseaters, that if you hang in there with us and you continue to tune in, we will find some things. It will happen.
Hopefully on One Way Fine one day we can do an impromptu jump on.
Yeah.
So we're gonna end for the day, but our day doesn't end here. So